My Dark Angel's Intercessor Sergeant is looking almost complete with all his war gear painted, but the one thing left I haven't painted is his currently bald-ass head. I didn't want him to be helmetless, but unfortunately his helmet itself was molded into his belt as he is clearly an early push fit production, so I had to go with the second best thing for any first son of the Emperor, a hooded head, which I will paint today. Building most sergeants with a head hard glued into the body is a mistake if you're planning on it being a wholly different color than the rest of the power armor, one which I made but intend to fix with a little of this masking tape and some of this specialty Vallejo liquid mask. We begin with any beat to shit intermediate brush. You can see that liquid mask is essentially a fast curing elastic resin which sort of coats whatever you stick it on with a watertight seal, remaining trivial to remove. We're going to put some onto our palette and begin to coat everything around the head, making sure to get generous coating within the actual collar of the power armor, under the hood, as well as on the pauldrons and backpack. It looks blue while it's wet, but as you can see, when it dries it becomes a more clear finish. With our coat now cured, I'm going to take a Master's Touch number 8 gold Taklon brush and break out the colors with which I need to paint this hood, which I've decided will be a white. And to paint white, you first start with gray. I know that sounds so stupid, but it's true. Using Army Painter's War Paint Fanatic Uniform Gray from the black and white spectrum, mixing with just a little droplet of water off the toothpick, it's the perfect texture to coat the hood. We want this to be smooth as possible, so make sure that once you thinly coat one section to not touch it until it dries. I make sure to establish a clean finish on the edges of the hood as well as the interior before getting to the other side of the head. The nice thing about the liquid mask is I don't have to worry about overbrushing onto the rim of the power armor because it's going to come straight off with the mask if I do. Obviously, you can see how one thin coat is pretty patchy. If only there was a way to, like, do 2 thin coats. Oh my fucking god. Once I have that wrapped up, I'm going to take my miniature masking tape and cover all over the parts of the Space Marine that are exposed from the top and around the head. Using my Page TG Talon, I use the smallest amount of water and even less of Company Gray from the black and white spectrum mixed together to gently and slowly establish a buildup of a far brighter zenithal highlight, wherein I am only spraying from pretty much directly above the head. And before you ask, even with a wider spray nozzle, I'm not particularly concerned as hobby airbrushes tend to have a very narrow cone of coverage, so I'm not going to paint onto my chain sword sticking out all the way over to the other side of the figure. Once I think I've established a good enough coat, the masking tape comes off and it looks like this. I think the only white that bled through is on his right pauldron, but that's mostly removable by gently scrubbing it with an old brush. Using my tweezers, I can remove the liquid mask, and you can see that it's pretty much flawless at preventing any overspray from permeating onto where it's not supposed to. I quickly use my green from the base coat to touch over any white that got through both masks and move on. I noticed a space on the back of his head which somehow was shielded from the spray and lacks the same color transition entirely, so I gently stippled on more Company Gray off the palette manually with my finest brush, which, while imperfect, hides it mostly. I didn't expect the head of my Space Marine of all things to be a 3-part tutorial, but I guess that's what it looks like it's gonna be. Oh well, paint, but whatever the